Veterans Day is November 11th, and we recently sat down with two of our living legends, World War II veterans, Herb Bastian and Ed Osak, to discuss their war memories.
I joined the National Guard October 1939, and we were called into active service October 15th, 1940. And we pulled out of New York in February of 42.
I was drafted in August of 1943, and I entered the service on my birthday, September 4th, 1943. We went strictly right overseas for basic jungle training, and we went to New Caledonia, which is east of Australia, because we couldn't go to Australia. There was too many troops there. It was a staging area for the South Pacific.
He took care of the Pacific. I took care of Europe. My job was a tool room keeper and supply. In other words, I took care of the supplies, all the tools and that for our 3rd platoon, which I was in. And that was my job. The engineers then, you dug ditches, made roads by a shovel, and well, bridge work and everything like that.
I carried a Browning automatic rifle, which is almost the same thing like a submachine gun. I was a private first class in the infantry. And they sent us up into the mountainous jungles and just left us there for the next 5 months. We lived out of foxholes for 5 months. Ate, slept, and did everything. The food, well, the stuff that we were getting, the sea rations, we were getting from Australia. And half of them, if you opened up the can, they were moldy on top. I used to tell everybody, I said, I think they got these from the World War I.
I don't know if you ever saw a K ration. It's a little box about the size of a small Cracker Jack box. That's one meal. I think there's 6 crackers in there, a little can of hash, or eggs, or some whatever meal it was for, a stick of chewing gum, and I think a couple of cigarettes.
One time we got relieved for about 2 days so we could have something decent, if you want to call it, to eat. They made Spam, hot Spam on a biscuit. That was like eating filet mignon. After eating all that so-called C&K rations. And as we were walking to this kitchen, one side of the road was all dead GIs laying out in the broiling hot sun, and the other side of the road was all dead Japanese.
I think the worst moment would have been we crossed the English Channel at night, so the invasion of France. I landed D+2, and it was after we're landing, because the unknown is the most fearful thing. You don't know what's going to happen. Well, we were on the front lines. We relieved the infantry at St. Lo, and the farm road, you have hedgerows there in France, and the farm road, and the Germans were just on the other side of the road, and we could hear them talking over there. And that wasn't scary until the C Company started shooting at them, and they just dumped a lot of mortar shells on C Company. But if anybody ever says they're in the service and they weren't scared, they're telling you a lie.
Every day and every night was a scary moment, because you never knew when they would try and crawl into your foxhole.
Yeah.
So when we left one mountain, we just down into the valley, up the other mountain. And you could not get no drops of food or anything, because the mountainous jungles were so thick that half the time you couldn't even see the sun or the moon. That's how dark it was. It was Sunday morning, April 29th, 1945. It was probably about 3 o'clock in the morning. They tried to get into our foxholes, and all I know is I got hit the side of the head, knocked me back about 6 feet, tore the helmet off my head, and I had to wait until morning before we got enough guys to take the wounded and the dead guys down. About a 64th of an inch, and the bullet would have gone through my eye and out the back of my head. I got a fracture, I lost the sight of my right eye, the hearing in my right ear, I got fractured facial bones, fractured skull, and malaria. Other than that, I'm in good shape. They used to call it battle fatigue, then they used to call it combat fatigue, but now they call it post-traumatic stress disorder, which I got. I would wake up in the middle of the night screaming, sweating like crazy. Bad dreams. Take you back to combat every night.
My wife and I were married. We were sleeping one night, and I was dreaming. I was in a concentration camp, and I was dreaming that the guy laying next to me was poking me in the ribs, making that hurt, which is just a soreness. And I thought, in my dream, that next time he does that, I'm going to clobber him. So my side started hurting again. This was all in my dream. And Edith, my wife's name, I was up like this, ready to hit her. And she called my name and woke me up.
We never gave up. Like I say, people ask me questions. They said, during all those battles you were in, did you guys ever retreat? I says, in the United States Army, there's no such word as retreat. We may have advanced towards the rear a lot of times, but we did not retreat.
We pulled back to regroup. I think it taught me a lot of how to live. Take care of everything and do it to the best of your ability, and be good to people. Don't be a nasty person. That doesn't help. And it taught me how to live a good life. In fact, it must have been good because I'm 91 now. There's not too many, from what I've heard, read in the papers, heard on the news. We're losing World War II veterans about 1,500 a day. I think one of the greatest things that you could say when the war ended, it's over. I don't have to be looking this way or that way to see if somebody has a rifle pointed at me.
To me, war is hell. There are no winners. Even the winners are losers, because you suffer. Even though you have won the war, the country, the people that involved in it will suffer. I love my country. I went through a heck of a lot, but God saw me through, and I don't regret 1 minute of it. I had some hard times, but we all survived.
Yes, I would do it over again.
If I would have to go back in, if I was able to go back in, I'd be more than glad to do it.